first run into Mary and Martha. This isn't the first time Jesus has interaction with them. What did you say?
Walmart.
Walmart. They're greeters at Walmart. Gotta be one, right? Gotta be one. If it's not Jerry. We run into them at the story of Lazarus. Remember that one? And what do we know about Mary and Martha, besides that they're sisters? Well,
Start with M.
and they have a brother named Lazarus, yeah. And they're friends of Jesus. That is unique. What's obvious, and we kind of pass over it, is that there are stories written about them that are in the Bible. These are two women that aren't disciples. They're not writers of Gospels. They're not ministers, but they're women that are written about and given space in all the Gospels. It's a fact that we just kind of pass over. So I wanted to bring it to your attention. These are women that are written about. Mary and Martha, can you go to chapter 11 in John, please? Does anybody have their Bibles with them? We're going to look at chapter 11 in John. That's the story of Lazarus. This is the, I'm not going to go into all of it, Chris, but I want to go into some of it because it sets the stage for Mary and Martha. Chapter 11. I hope. Isn't it? Okay. My assumption in reading this a couple of times is that Martha is the oldest. It would appear that Martha, the older one, because she's the take charge one, she's listed first. She invites Jesus into her house, right, John? So she would be the oldest. She's the head of the household, which is also kind of unique. She's doing that. And it looks like, the way it's written, Mary is the sister to Mary and Lazarus are sister and brother, and probably from same parents. Again, my guess is that Martha's parents, the mother died, the father remarried, and then they had the two others. And my assumption also is that Jesus is like the age of Mary and Martha. Of Mary and Lazarus. And I say that because of the way Mary and Martha responded to the news of their brother's death. Some of you that are reviewing that, when the news comes to Jesus that his friend has died, what is Jesus' response?
The sickness will not end in death.
Yeah, we're not going to rush back. He's not going to rush back. He wants to make a theological point. So he's with his friends. His friend dies, and he doesn't hurry back. Now, if you're Martha, maybe you're thinking, what good is it to have the Savior of the world as your best friend, and when your brother dies, he doesn't even show up? What good is that? He's got all this preaching, he's done this teaching. Lazarus dies, and he's not quick to show up. That's got to be kind of irritating. So he waits, and he sends word that he's on his way. The friends come over, and they're mourning with Martha and Mary. Martha hears that Jesus is under attack right now. He's being sought out, so he's kind of in hiding. He had done some miracles. Authorities didn't like it. They don't want him traveling near Jerusalem. Bethany's only a couple miles away. So he's got to come undercover, so he's staying away off. He's not at the house. Martha gets up, marches out, and probably your height, I'm guessing. Walked up, and she says, "Now," and what is she doing to Jesus? What's the response? What's her question of Jesus? Somebody there? Oh, I'm guessing she's shaking her finger. She's just letting him have it. She gets up, she marches out, and she goes, "What? Jesus, if you'd have been here, my brother wouldn't have died. What's up with you?" And then she says, "Now, I know, because you've taught us this stuff, that anything you ask God's going to do. So what is it? What is your response?" And what is his response? Yeah, your brother's, and he goes into, yes, your brother's going to rise again. And she says, "I know all that. It's going to be at the resurrection of the dead at the end." And he says, no. Your brother, if he dies, he will not die. He will live again forever. And does she get it? Terry, does she get it? Kinda. I mean, what is her response to that? Jesus gives the "I am the resurrection and the life," and it's a great theological creedal statement. Jesus gives that, and what is Martha's response? Yeah, she said, "Well, yeah, I believe you're the Son coming into the world. She doesn't go into the whole deal, but she almost gets it, right? She's close. Now, she's in the ballpark. She's in the aisle of Walmart. She's close. She's close. Now, Mary, when she gets the word, what is her first response? Now, this is where I've enjoyed the King James version of verse 20 in that reading. If you have your King James, you have it there. But what is it that Mary does when she gets the word?
She went out to meet him.
But what does she do first?
She fell at his feet.
Before that, she stayed at the house. And if you read the King James version, she was still. So Martha's all bluster and going after him, and Mary quiets down. Psalm 46:10 comes to mind. Be still and know that I am God. Mary has taken the time in the face of that news to center down. To center down in prayer. Maybe she and Jesus had prayers together. Maybe that was part of their relationship. But Mary, instead of getting all worked up, takes her time and centers down. Then she goes out to meet him. But she does so after Martha comes back and says, "Teacher wants to see you." Teacher, it's like, I can see it. I got the right answer. I'm the oldest. I'm in charge. I know what's going on. Zoe, you have an older sister, don't you?
Yes.
Is she in charge?
Yeah.
It's my beautiful child niece. I didn't want to point out, make you feel that I did. Martha says, you go back to the teacher, Terry. She's got the answer. You go back and you'll get the right answer too. That's the way it is. Martha's got the right answer. But Mary goes back and Shirley, when Martha approaches Jesus, I can just see her with the finger and she's looking right at him. She's letting him have it. And Jesus is big enough to take it. Jesus can take the anger, your disappointment. But it didn't turn out right. Jesus, you're here. This wouldn't happen. It didn't turn out right. Where have you been? I'm mad at you. God, you let my brother die. You let my child die. You let my parents die. Whatever it is. And she's angry with him. And God, Jesus, takes it and wraps her, tries to anyway, and offers her comfort that she understands, and she wants that head answer. Yep. And she's able to give that. Mary comes, falls at his feet, and worships him. Falls at his feet, and she starts with the same question. If you'd have been here, where were you? But I don't think it's in quite the same way. I think Mary's response, if you'd have been here, you wouldn't have died. And she tries to get the rest of it out, and then what happens? She starts crying. Here, Jesus takes it in a different way, doesn't he? And a lot of men in the presence of women weeping get kind of weirded out about it, But Jesus responds from the heart. And the scriptures say he is deeply agitated. Here is a God that takes the disappointment, the passion, and the honest rage of Mary. Well, he takes it of Martha too. That's more rage, and Mary is more hurt. And Jesus takes that, and he responds to it. Here God responds. I think that theological lesson went right out the window. That creedal lesson. He doesn't ask that of her. He doesn't ask her to repeat this formula and these words. He responds from the heart. Lazarus doesn't have any speaking parts in all of this. He's kind of quiet right now. But what does Martha do when Jesus goes, okay, show me the tomb, because they're not at the tomb. Show me the tomb. And the friends of Mary have come. It says that. The friends of Mary come with her. They are weeping and they support her. They're at the tomb. And Jesus says, I'm going to show you God revealed. And he calls Lazarus forward. And Martha's response is, now, wait a minute. He's been in there 4 days, he stinks. And that's, right? That's what she says. He's been there 4 days, he stinks. And I can see her. I can see her doing it. You break that seal, I'm going to be over here. Yeah, I believe you and all that, but, yeah, okay, gotcha. But I'll get you from over here. Right? She moves over an aisle or two. And that's the last we hear of her in this story. What you hear is, of course, Lazarus is called forward. The greatest well, one of the greatest miracles of the Gospels is that, and God calls us to new life, and that's what we're called into as well. There's a new life and a new relationship. There's that an epiphany that is right there with Mary and her followers. And if you read the next chapter, it starts with Mary and her followers get it. Martha's gone. Now, we come to our current reading. Martha extends the invitation to Jesus as the head of the household. Jesus accepts, comes into the house, and, you know, she invites Jesus into her home. That's a prayer, by the way. That's the prayer. Martha, like a lot of us, will invite Jesus into her home and into her hearts, and she promptly ignores it. She's busy. In our prayer life, in our meditation, when, like Mary sat at the feet of Jesus and wanted what Jesus was offering. Wanted that new life. She had been there. She had the experience of his presence and his love, and it called her to new life, like it did Lazarus. She wants more of that. Martha was there and heard some of the idea. Some of it went here, face to face, but not heart, and she was distracted. She was doing other things. When we invite Jesus into our hearts, we don't take the time to listen. We get monkey brain going on. You know, have you ever tried to meditate or pray, and your mind just goes every which direction? Never happens to me, you know. It is so difficult when you invite Jesus in to your home and to your heart to take time to listen to what's being said. We get to thinking that we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we make our list. And she even asked Jesus, here it is, I want you, Jesus, she isn't doing what I want. I want you to straighten her out. I want her to act like me and help me. I want her to be as distracted as I am. You know? Right? How many of us do that through our prayers? You know, if that person would just straighten up and fly right, that brother or sister of mine, I want them, dear God, straighten them up. You know, we want Jesus to manipulate and to manipulate their behavior. That's a prayer. There's one, John is telling us one thing, and he's given us the players and the structure for the truth that's being revealed. You've got the play, you've got the script, here's what's going on, but John, as he takes that onion and he peels it back, there's one layer. But then the other layer is, and Luke too at this point, what are you doing with the truth of Jesus Christ that's in your heart and in your home? We get so easily distracted, paying attention to other things. When we do our breakfast, what are we doing? Are we doing a lot of pancakes? Or are we making relationships with people that come around our table? We're doing both, but it's the relationships first. When you're doing the gospel, it's always the relationship first. When we do the food pantry, we're not giving out boxes. We're building relationships first. And sometimes we need to say, we're not a 501c3, we're not a social organization, we are the church. And when we do this, we need to go with what they really need for their sustenance. What do they really need? Yes, they need food. That's an emergency need. But if we're praying the Christ present with them, what's that going to look like? Martha wanted Jesus to be present, and then she couldn't take the time to center down and enjoy his presence. We're not just flipping pancakes. We're not just making rockets, even though that's going to be a lot of fun. The rockets, not the pancakes. And so that's funny. Sally keeps us straight on the pancakes and barley. 50. Yeah, that was great. We are making relationships first. God seeks to be present with us in our heart. So how do you do that? Do you journal? Do you do morning papers? Do you just sleep? I mean, what is it? Or do you let your mind go and you pick up all those little thoughts that float by? Oh yeah, I got to do that today. Martha's doing homemaking things, or her housekeeping list. But we all do it. Yeah, I've got to write this. Yeah, I've got to do that. Yeah, I got to study this. I got to call this person. Yeah. And you go down the list, and God is present You've invited them in and present with you and waiting for you to respond. I think that's a gospel truth. And we get so distracted with things that aren't that important. Now, if you want to get stuff done, who do you want involved? I don't want Martha's. Right? It's good to have those that dream and that take in the word and reflect and pray. You need that. So what I see happening, people like that bring the need to this body. They bring the need to from Jesus. They bring the need to the body, and the body says, yep, that's how we're going to image the Christ in this community, and we get going. Then the Marthas kick in. We need both. But we really need more people that are paying attention to what the Spirit is calling forward from them. And there are a lot of ways to do that. God speaks to us in marvelous multitude of ways. I just hope that we're paying attention. Not just a lot of rattling and pots and pans. Why is it that what we ask for and what we really need, we turn from when the opportunity is there? Why is that?